guys like Adam are gonna run the staff and GM out of the building. Benji, you're a dumb mother. Dude, I'm not worried about Ben Johnson.
Okay,
Tell
so
me
now
the
we're
coach
not
is
worried
making
about
the same mistakes from last year.
Like, what mistake? Aaron Glenn.
The
by
timeout before halftime.
Oh my God. Okay, you can rotate turds, but they're still turds. Like defensively, they're not very good. So if you want to blame Aaron Glenn for his coaching, his coaching performance, go ahead.
Aiden Hutchinson is going to have a better game. I mean, he was non-existent. You really want to be a fanboy and cry and say, why you guys in the backfield? Fine. I think the run game is going to play the biggest part of this team winning a football game. Jeff, Washington and the Lions' keys to victories. I'll start with the first one. I think is so important, time of possession. Time of possession. They lost it against Philly. Philly is one of the few teams in the NFL, in my opinion, that can match up with the Lions in terms of controlling time of possession. I think the Lions have the advantage here. I think 37-27 is what I'm looking for in the differential of time of possession. I think 6 more minutes, even 7 more minutes than Washington. The Lions should have the ball. Give me time of possession as one of the keys to victory.
Mine also is going to be winning the turnover battle. Got to win the turnover battle last week. They lost. The Eagles didn't turn the ball over once. Jared Goff threw that pick 6. I get T. Jackson ran the wrong route, but still, it's a pick 6. Got to clean that up and win the turnover battle. So that's going to be my next thing. The Lions got to do to win.
All right, another key to victory is also managing the people we interact with. Benji says, I've been on the 3-year rebuild. I just think social media Lions fans who are impatient and guys like Adam are going to run the staff and GM out of the building. Benji, you're a dumb motherfucker, dude. And I'll tell you why. It's year 2. You should show improvement from year 1 to year 2 as a coach, as a team, as players. This is just the reality of the NFL. And actually, in the NFL, every 3 years, you should be competing or winning your division. That is a known fact.
Right.
And on top of it, usually in your second year, you see a significant jump. Then your first year, and then, of course, there's the coaches who just walk in and do everything the right way. But, hey, you know what? What do we know, right?
But they did show some improvement week 1.
Who did?
DeAndre Swift.
Okay.
Keep going. Tracy Walker before he was ejected.
Okay.
Jeff Okudah.
Okay, but we're going to leave out one very important piece.
Who?
The coaches did not look like they improved.
Ben Johnson?
Same mistakes from last year.
So Ben Johnson didn't
Ben
look
Johnson, they struggled in the first half, and I think in the second half they were really good. But this is a first-year guy. It's not like he's improving from something. It's his first year. I'm not worried about Ben Johnson.
Okay,
Tell
so
me
now
the
we're not
coach is
worried
making
about
the same mistakes from last year.
Like, what mistake? Aaron Glenn.
The timeout before halftime.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. I'll give it. I'll let you have it. It's
The
okay.
timeout to start the third quarter, and then to get beat on the play following. Come on, we literally saw this against Baltimore.
It's like listen. It's like the famous Sean quote. You could rotate turds, but they're still turds. Like defensively, they're not very good. So if you want to blame Aaron Glenn for his coaching, his coaching performance, and go ahead. But we'll move on. Dan Campbell, I agree.
You're gonna be the end of me, Jeff. You're gonna be the end of me. All right, next key to victory. I think this is actually probably one of the more difficult decisions I had to make on what the keys to victory are. I think from Washington's standpoint, they really, really have to take advantage of a young defensive front and a linebacking core that is one of your bigger concerns.
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson, what they do, whether it's Curtis Samuel in the backfield, Antonio Gibson as a receiving back, which we saw week 1 against Jacksonville, that is going to be their primary emphasis. I don't think if it's as simple as, if Terry McLaurin has a good game receiving, they're going to win the game. I don't think it's that cut and dry. I think it's Curtis Samuel and Antonio Gibson who are going to have games like they had against Jacksonville for Washington to have a chance. But for the Lions, it's obvious, Jeff. Run the football. Run the football. DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, Craig Reynolds, whoever it has to be, run the football. Control time of possession. Limit the amount of possessions the opposing team can get. Give your defense a well-needed rest, and go from there. I think the run game is going to play the biggest part of this team winning a football game.
I'm right with you. That was it for me last week against the Eagles. You got to run the football, and they did that. And they gave him a chance. With DeAndre Swift, I'd like him to get a little more carries, but we'll see. We'll see how the run game looks. It's a good defensive line with Washington, so I'm curious. But no doubt, that's going to be how the Lions win pretty much every single game, is getting the run game established. You didn't see a lot of play action last week with Ben Johnson, and I know they want to get better at that, get that implemented a lot more, because Jared Goff is one of the best play action quarterbacks, so that's where he finds success. So you got to run the football. I'm with you, Adam. That's the key to success for number one.
All right. An individual that I think will have to play a very good game will be Jared Goff. You can't afford turnovers. Granted, the pick six was miscommunication between him and his receiver,
But still
which
turnover.
was Hawkinson, but still, that hurts.
Yeah.
And it ended up in points. That's the worst thing you can do. So no turnovers from Jared Goff. He's got to come out better. Can't have a first half like he had. I think with 5 minutes left in the first half, he was like 4 of 11 for 23 yards or
With a
something
pick.
like. It was really bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad in the first half. He did make up for it in the second half, but that needs to be more consistent. The conversation we had about Jared Goff before the season was he's an average quarterback, fair?
Yeah.
And what do you get out of average quarterbacks? You get weeks where they're really good, you get weeks where they're really bad, and then most of the time they're just here. And that's what makes them average, right? They can't keep a certain level of eliteness or, greatness for a sustained amount of time.
Right.
I think Goff's going to have a good game for the Lions to win this.
And not just Goff, too. You saw last week a lot of drop balls as well. I think it was like 2 on Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is like unheard of. So got to do a better job just cleaning up some things offensively. I'm not too worried about the offense. I know Jared Goff this week, you want him to be more efficient, not turn the ball over. But for me, the key to victory is defensively. Like, if you can get after Carson Wentz, you have to pressure Carson. That's the thing I'm looking for the most. You have a worse offensive line. You don't have a mobile quarterback you're facing. And Aiden Hutchinson's looking to have a bounce-back performance. Same with Charles Harris and the rest of that defensive line. So I'm going to go with, on defense, they got to get to the quarterback. And at least, you don't have to. I don't think they're going to completely shut down the run, but you at least have to slow the run down, because you can't let Antonio Gibson beat you on the ground. So I'm going to go getting after the quarterback for me on defense is a must this week.
Fair enough. Aiden Hutchinson is going to have a better game.
Oh, yeah.
He was non-existent. You really want to be a fanboy and cry and say, well, he got in the backfield. Fine. Take your wins. I still think he's going to be a great player. I love the pick. He's going to have a better game. He's going to need to get after the quarterback. He was middle of the pack. I want to say he was 15th, I believe, in run support across the league in terms of edge rushers. For run support, so he was good on the run, but the passing, you got to have contain. Wentz can beat you with his legs, maybe not to the extent of Hurts, but I expect a more disciplined Aiden Hutchinson. I expect a more physical one. There were a few times at the goal line he was just overmatched.
Yeah.
That needs to change.
And they doubled him, too, with Philly, which was actually surprising.
Yeah, they gave him respect, absolutely. Hutchinson's going to have a big game. And I think the last one for me that is the most important, stay out of your own way. Don't give them extra possessions. That can be on the turnover battle. That could be on coaching decisions to maybe encourage a team or sway them one way or the other. Don't give them extra possessions.
Yeah.
Don't give them short field position. You have a punter who has the NFL record, I believe, for net yards on a punt on average. Take advantage of him and pin teams back. Yes, Philly dominated. Yes, they had a great second quarter. Against Washington, this is not Jalen Hurts. You have an opportunity to win this game. Limit the amount of extra possessions you give Washington, because that will end up being the difference. I think it's going to be a close game. We'll get to the predictions later, but for me, possessions. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't hand them anything easy. Don't throw a red zone interception and leave points on the board. Don't turn the ball over at your own 20, your own 30, your own 40, and give them a short field to play with. Be smart. 0 turnovers is a must, and I think you can beat Washington by doing that.
And I think so also against Washington. I don't think there'll be a reason to go for an onside kick. I don't think Washington's going to blow out the Lions. So for me, I'm with you. Staying clean, making the right decisions, not giving away possessions, and also hurting your team. I mean, that's the thing against Washington that's different from the Eagles. I don't see Washington scoring 24 in the second quarter, and following it up with a third quarter as well. So for me, Washington is a much more evenly matched team. I don't think there's going to be a reason to go for those decisions, but I'm with you, Adam. You can't put your team in tough spots. You can't shoot yourself in the foot. So that's going to be important.